Mufulira was the world's largest underground copper mine, but it took only 15 minutes for the entire eastern section to flood. Survivors record a noise like thunder, a shockwave of air through the tunnels, then the lights going out before the wet mud rushed through the tunnels. Pictures from the aftermath give an indication of the terrible force of the mud rush that surged through the underground workings. Tailings entered the mine at 2:55 a.m., and the first mine rescue team arrived 20 minutes later. Eucalyptus oil was decanted into all downward air vents, the signal to evacuate the rest of the mine. When the scale of the disaster became apparent, rescue teams were mobilized from every other mine. These teams descended into the mine 50 times in the following days to search for survivors, but only 4 people were found alive. It proved impossible to find and remove most of the bodies. Contemporary news footage shows one of the proto-rescue teams coming out of the mine and the enormous size of the sinkhole in the tailings dam. The disaster was avoidable. Tailings, a waste byproduct of metal mining, had been deposited in the dam since 1933. A subsequent investigation noted with incredulity that no mine official had seriously considered that mining underneath the dams might cause them to collapse. A few years earlier, mine management had ruled out the possibility. The 1966 Aberfan disaster in South Wales prompted an investigation into mine waste on the copper belt, which concluded there is no danger of any of this tailing finding its way into the underground workings. Yet, this is precisely what happened. No one was ever criminally charged for this disaster. Mass funerals followed in Mufulira. Some families of the men killed were repatriated to rural areas in Zambia, and 2 families were repatriated to the UK. Each family received a monthly allowance from the disaster fund, 20 kwacha per adult and 5 kwacha per child. Many miners feared to return to work though. In 1971, one miner reported that ghosts haunted the shafts, who were demanding for more people to die. Relatives of those killed were interviewed in a 2018 documentary, which also names the miners lost in the disaster. An earlier documentary made in 1974 entitled Ordeal at Mufulira appears to have been lost. 89 miners lost their lives that day on 25th September 1970.